I'll never forget the morning I rolled up to my off-grid dream home. It was supposed to be peaceful, my first morning in my very own place, after nearly 2 years of designing, building, and planning. I'd created a fully off-grid, energy-autonomous house, perched above the red rock canyons of Nevada. Solar panels, a backup water tank, underground fiber optics, even seismic insulation. It was my vision come to life. I'd fought through endless permits, inspections, construction headaches, and now, here I was, finally home. I drove up the gravel driveway in my F-250, the trailer hitched behind, filled with tools and the first batch of equipment. A couple of contractors followed in their truck, bringing modular furniture and security system components for installation. The sun was rising behind the mountains, casting that golden light over the desert, and the wind carried that dry, electric charge that always felt like the desert waking up. But as I neared the gate, something felt off. 2 dark SUVs were parked across the entrance. I slowed the truck, squinting. 2 men in HOA security uniforms stood with their arms crossed, looking like they were guarding the damn Pentagon. And in the middle of them, a woman stood, clipboard in hand, a smug expression on her face like she had all the power in the world. She stepped forward like she owned the place, her beige skirt suit fluttering in the wind. "Mr. Gavin Morris," she said, all business. "That's me," I said, stepping out of the truck, already annoyed. "Can I help you?" "I'm Karen Range, president of the Silver Mesa Ridge HOA," she replied. "We're here to inform you that you are not authorized to move into this structure." I blinked. I couldn't have heard her right. "You're what?" I asked. "This property has not yet been reviewed or approved by the HOA Architectural Integrity Committee," she continued. "The fence is in violation of community standards. The color of your paneling reflects light toward the main road. Additionally, the structure does not meet the established neighborhood profile requirements, and as such, you have not been granted residential occupancy status. You'll need to turn around." I stared at her. I was on my own land. I designed this house. It was my property. "This is private property," I said slowly, trying to keep my cool. "I'm not in your HOA. This ridge lot isn't part of Silver Mesa Ridge or any other association. I've checked. I've rechecked. I hired a lawyer." Karen smiled like she was explaining something to a child. "I understand your confusion," she said, her voice dripping with condescension. "There has been some overlap in zoning due to administrative delay, and this parcel is currently under aesthetic review. Until that's resolved, you do not have permission to enter or occupy." I couldn't believe it. I laughed. "You think I need your permission to walk into my own damn house?" Karen didn't flinch. "You may not understand the process," she said coolly, "but we're simply enforcing community protocol. You can file an appeal with our board. Meanwhile, we've notified the County Code Enforcement Division." I stepped closer to her. "Get off my property," I said, teeth gritted. Her eyes hardened. "Sir, you're escalating unnecessarily." "No," I shot back, "you're trespassing." One of her security goons took a step forward, trying to block my way. "We're here to prevent unauthorized occupancy." I was done playing nice. "I built this house. I hold the deed. I designed it. You're trespassing." I took a deep breath. "You either back off or I'll call the sheriff." Karen narrowed her eyes, and a smile crept onto her face. "Let's do that," she said, already pulling out her phone. "Yes, hello. I'd like to report a suspicious individual attempting to illegally occupy a residence under HOA review. Yes, 218 Mesa Overlook Drive. He's refusing to leave." I stood there, stunned, while she finished her little report. Then, I called the sheriff myself. 10 minutes later, a cruiser pulled up the Ridge Road. The deputy stepped out, looking like he was already done with the day. "Morning," he said. "Got a report of a possible illegal entry?" he asked, eyeing me up and down. Karen jumped in immediately, like she was on a mission. "Yes, officer. This man is attempting to unlawfully occupy a property that's not cleared for residential access by the HOA. We are protecting community standards." I couldn't believe it. "Ma'am," I said, holding out a folder. "Here's the deed, the permits, the zoning map, and the legal parcel registration. This property is not and has never been under HOA control. It's a separate private parcel." The deputy flipped through my papers, still not saying much. Karen tried to peer over his shoulder, but he raised a hand. "Ma'am, please let me read." A few more minutes passed. The deputy nodded a couple of times before looking up at her. "From what I see here, this gentleman is on his own property. He has the legal right to be here." Karen's face turned beet red, but she tried to save face. "This is absurd," she hissed. The deputy raised an eyebrow. "Look at this map. This lot borders your community, but our agreement says—" "Your agreement doesn't apply here," the deputy interrupted flatly. "You're trespassing. I'm going to need you and your people to clear out." She clenched her jaw. But after a long pause, she reluctantly nodded, signaling her security detail to leave. Before they all piled back into their vehicles, Karen locked eyes with me. "This isn't over," she muttered. I stood tall, watching as they drove off. "Good," I said, "because I'm not building a prison." That should have been the end of it. But of course it wasn't. The next day, I was unpacking in the main room when there was a knock at my door. Not the gate, my actual front door. I hadn't given the code to anyone except the contractors, and they'd been gone for hours. Alarm bells went off in my head. I opened the door cautiously and found a courier holding a thick manila envelope, stamped with a red county seal. "Mr. Gavin Morris?" he asked. I took the envelope, signed for it, and closed the door. Inside, I found a letter from the Clark County Office of Land Management. It was an official notice that my property was under preliminary review for annexation into a neighboring homeowners association. I couldn't believe it. They were trying to forcibly add my land to their HOA, using forged signatures. I made the calls, pulled in my lawyer, and called Victor, the lead foreman on my project. He didn't sign anything. It was all a scam. A fraud. That's when I went into full attack mode. My lawyer, Rachel, jumped into action too. We're going to take them down. We found out that Karen's son worked in the zoning office. Nepotism at its finest. And when I dug deeper, I found out the HOA had forged documents, blacklisted deliveries, and was harassing anyone who even thought about working on my property. And just when I thought it couldn't get worse, they started trying to forcefully run utility lines across my land, without my consent, without a permit. But I wasn't about to back down. Not now. I filed every complaint, every challenge, every motion. And eventually, it all came crashing down for Karen and her HOA cronies. The county started an audit, a formal investigation. Charges were filed. And when the trial came around, Karen's world crumbled. She pled guilty to multiple charges: fraud, harassment, and abuse of power. Her punishment? 2 years of probation, $40,000 in restitution to me and others affected, and a lifetime ban from serving in any HOA board. In the end, my property was finally mine. I built that house. I fought for it. And no one could take that from me. The lesson? Power isn't always in the hands of the ones who think they control it. Sometimes, it's in the hands of those who refuse to back down and let the system choke them out. So here's the real question. How far would you go to defend what's yours? And when it comes to HOA overreach, where do we draw the line? Share your thoughts in the comments. Let me know what you think about this story and whether you've had any similar experiences.